The radar screen flickered. Controllers at the New York Air Traffic Control Center watched in disbelief. Flight 356, a Boeing 747 en route from Paris to New York, had vanished. It was not a technical glitch. This was real. A chill settled over the room. Minutes turned into an agonizing hour. No radio contact, no transponder signal, just an empty void where a jumbo jet carrying hundreds of souls should have been. The unthinkable had happened. Flight 356 had been hijacked. The news spread like wildfire. From the highest levels of government to living rooms across the globe, fear and uncertainty gripped the world. The clock was ticking, and every second that passed deepened the mystery of Flight 356. This was not just a hijacking, it was a terrifying unknown hurtling through the skies. Four figures, shadows against the backdrop of a terrified cabin, emerged as the masterminds of the hijacking. Their presence was a chilling reminder of the vulnerability of the passengers, who were now at the mercy of these shadowy figures. Their leader, a man known only as the Captain, possessed an unsettling calmness that belied the chaos he had unleashed. His demeanor was almost serene, a stark contrast to the panic and fear that gripped the cabin. His eyes, cold and calculating, held the passengers captive as much as the weapons in their hands. It was as if he could see through their souls, understanding their fears and using them to maintain control. Beside him stood the engineer, a man of remarkable technical skill but unsettlingly detached demeanor. His focus was entirely on the aircraft, as if the human lives aboard were mere variables in his calculations. His knowledge of the aircraft's systems was both impressive and terrifying. He could manipulate the plane with a precision that left no room for error, making him an invaluable asset to the hijackers' plan. This was not a random act of violence, it was a meticulously planned operation. Every detail had been considered, every contingency accounted for, showcasing a level of preparation that was both awe-inspiring and horrifying. The remaining two, the muscle, were imposing figures, their faces hidden behind balaclavas. Their physical presence alone was enough to instill fear, but it was their unwavering loyalty to the captain that made them truly dangerous. They moved with a practiced ease, enforcing the captain's will with quiet menace. Their actions were synchronized, a testament to the rigorous training they had undergone. Each hijacker played a crucial role in this deadly performance. Their coordination was flawless, each member contributing to the overall success of their sinister mission. Their motives remained shrouded in mystery. What did they want? Was it money, power, or something far more insidious? What dark ambition fueled their desperate act? The questions lingered unanswered as the world watched in horror. The world held its breath, praying for answers, fearing what each passing moment might bring. The tension was palpable, a collective anxiety that spanned continents and time zones. Hours bled into days as Flight 356 became a ghost, its trajectory erratic and unpredictable. The once routine journey had turned into a nightmare, a haunting presence in the skies that refused to be ignored. The world watched in horror as the hijackers turned a symbol of modern travel into a prison in the sky. News channels broadcasted updates around the clock, each report more grim than the last, capturing the collective anxiety of a world on edge. The audacity of the crime was staggering. Never before had a commercial airliner been held hostage for so long. The sheer scale of the operation left authorities scrambling for solutions, their efforts hampered by the hijackers' unpredictable demands. Inside the aircraft, fear and desperation hung heavy in the air. Passengers clung to each other, their faces etched with worry, their minds racing with thoughts of loved ones and the uncertain future that lay ahead. The hijackers, their initial bravado giving way to fatigue, maintained a tense grip on their captives. Their eyes darted nervously, betraying the strain of their prolonged standoff as they struggled to keep control over the situation. Passengers huddled together, whispered prayers, shared meager rations, and clung to the hope of a safe return. In the face of adversity, small acts of kindness and solidarity became their lifeline, a fragile thread of humanity in an inhumane situation. Every engine hum, every air pressure shift amplified the tension. The smallest noise could send a ripple of fear through the cabin, each passenger hyper-aware of their surroundings, their senses heightened by the constant threat. Sleep was a luxury few could afford, the constant threat of the unknown keeping everyone on edge. Eyes red and heavy with exhaustion, they fought to stay alert, knowing that vigilance was their only defense. Time, usually a measure of progress, became the enemy. each tick of the clock a stark reminder of their vulnerability. Minutes felt like hours and hours like days as they waited for a resolution that seemed ever elusive. The world marveled at the impossible. How could an airliner stay aloft for days? The answer lay in a series of daring and dangerous mid-air refueling operations. The hijackers, using the lives of the passengers as bargaining chips, forced authorities to comply with their demands. Under the cover of darkness, tanker aircraft, their lights dimmed to avoid detection, rendezvoused with the hijacked 747. The procedure was fraught with risk. One wrong move, one miscalculation could spell disaster. Each successful refueling brought a wave of relief and renewed fear. Relief that the ordeal hadn't ended in a fiery crash, but fear that this seemingly impossible situation could continue indefinitely. The hijackers had turned the laws of aviation into their own twisted game, and the world was forced to play along. Section 5, Global Response, the world takes notice. The hijacking of Flight 356 was not just an American tragedy, it became a global crisis. The eyes of the world turned to Washington, Paris, London, capitals of power grappling with an unprecedented situation. The stakes had never been higher. Intelligence agencies worked around the clock, analyzing every scrap of information, every intercepted communication. Special forces units, trained for the unthinkable, were put on high alert, ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Diplomatic channels, usually reserved for matters of state, were now dedicated to securing the safe release of the passengers and crew. This was a race against time, a high-stakes chess match where the lives of innocents hung in the balance. The world held its breath. Section 6. Stalemate in the skies, negotiations begin. Communication lines crackled to life. A tense dialogue began between authorities and the hijackers. The demands were audacious. The threats chillingly real. Every word was parsed, analyzed for any clue that could lead to a breakthrough. Negotiators, experts in the art of diplomacy and persuasion, worked tirelessly, trying to build rapport with the hijackers, to understand their motivations, to find a crack in their resolve. Days turned into weeks, and still, Flight 356 circled the globe, a constant reminder of the unfolding drama. The world watched, prayed, and waited, as hope dwindled with each passing day. Section 7, Breakthrough and Betrayal, a glimmer of hope. A breakthrough came unexpectedly. One of the hijackers, driven by a pang of conscience or perhaps a desire for self-preservation, reached out to authorities. He offered a deal information in exchange for immunity. It was a gamble, but a risk worth taking. The information led to the identification of the hijackers, their backgrounds, and most importantly, their motives. The world finally had a face to put to the terror. This vital intelligence, however, came at a cost. The informant, fearing for his life, insisted on the release of a notorious arms dealer held in a maximum security prison. This demand, a bitter pill to swallow, sparked outrage and debate. Was it a price worth paying for the lives of hundreds? The world held its breath as authorities grappled with an impossible choice. Section 8, Freedom's Wings, the final descent. The decision was made. The arms dealer was released, whisked away under the cover of darkness. The informant, his part of the bargain fulfilled, provided the final piece of the puzzle, the hijackers' planned landing site. A desolate airstrip in a remote corner of the world became the stage for the final act of this harrowing drama. As Flight 356 touched down, the world watched with bated breath. Special forces, hidden in the surrounding terrain, prepared for every eventuality. The following hours were a blur of tense negotiations, strategic maneuvers, and finally, the overwhelming relief as the hijackers surrendered, their reign of terror brought to an end. The passengers and crew, weary but alive, emerged from the aircraft, greeted by the cheers of rescuers and the prayers of a grateful world. Section 9, Legacy of Fear, the Enduring Impact. The hijacking of Flight 356 left an indelible mark on the world. It was a day that changed the course of aviation history and altered the way we perceive air travel forever. It exposed vulnerabilities in aviation security, leading to a global overhaul of airport protocols and screening procedures. The incident forced authorities to rethink and redesign the entire security framework to prevent such tragedies in the future. Body scanners, once a futuristic concept, became commonplace. These machines, now a standard part of airport security, were introduced to detect hidden threats that could bypass traditional screening methods. Air travel, once synonymous with freedom, took on a new layer of anxiety. The carefree days of flying were replaced with a heightened sense of vigilance and concern for safety. But the most enduring legacy was the human cost. Families were torn apart and the emotional scars ran deep. The pain of loss and the trauma of the event lingered long after the headlines faded. The passengers and crew, forever bound by their shared ordeal, carried the invisible scars of trauma. Their lives were irrevocably changed and their stories became a testament to human resilience and the enduring impact of that fateful day. The world, held captive by the drama that unfolded in the skies, learned a harsh lesson about the fragility of peace and the ever-present threat of those who seek to exploit it. The hijacking was a wake-up call, a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities that exist in our interconnected world. The hijacking of Flight 356 served as a stark reminder that in a world interconnected by invisible lines of communication and transportation, no one is immune to the reach of terror. It underscored the need for constant vigilance and the importance of international cooperation in ensuring the safety of all. The skies, once a symbol of limitless possibility, now carried a whisper of fear, a reminder of the day the world stood still, holding its breath for Flight 356. The legacy of that day continues to shape our world, reminding us of the delicate balance between freedom and security.